you. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Good evening.
So you've had such an amazing career. Let's start with current projects. I'm sure a lot of people in here have been watching The Handmaid's Tale.
Oh my God, really?
How did you get involved with that?
I was in North Carolina riding an old-fashioned bike. I was filming something, and I didn't have a car, and I wanted to go find, sorry to say, TJ Maxx. So I was on a silly bike, trying to keep my balance, and the phone rang, you know, cell. And I thought, well, I can do both, because this is a big old bike. And then I thought, no, you cannot, pull over, which is what I did. And it was my agent and my manager, lovely people both. And they said, there's a project called The Handmaid's Tale. Are you familiar? I said, yes. You know, I read it when I was in school, and there was an offer. That's such a lovely phrase, isn't it? And I always try to be calm when I hear it. I think, I'm sorry, did you say what? So I read the script, and it was beautifully, beautifully done. And I remembered the book because it leaves such an impression, doesn't it? So I thought, wow, they have really lined this up well and really paid attention to what she was up to and have done it so beautifully. So I had no questions there, immediately in. And that's how I heard.
And there was a film made of it previously, too. Had you seen the film, or did you go back and watch it? Or?
No, and I didn't do that either.
Yeah?
No, wasn't tempted, just because we're impressionable, right? So I had to try a clean take at it.
So did you reread the book, or did you just go straight from the script?
I reread immediately and was riveted for the second time.
And what did you take from that that you brought to the character once you started filming?
Well, you know, I asked Bruce Miller. Bruce Miller is our showrunner, wonderful. I said, what do you imagine she did before? And he said she was a public school teacher. And that made so much sense to me, because I was raised with Catholic sisters in my education, and I have two aunts who are Catholic nuns, Ursuline nuns, and I did not have cruel nuns. I always hesitate to mention because they get such a bad rap. When in fact, I'm sure there are those cruel nuns, but I did not have them. And the nuns that I've been exposed to are the ones who are educated and the ones who get into the trenches, do you know? And do the work and don't have the martini and the steak at the end of the day, delivered to them by someone else, do you know? No, there's none of that going on. So just had to put that in. But I did have sisters who, and they were very strict, no question. And I had one in particular whose name was Mother Claude. Don't dwell, but that was the name. And she would hound me on a daily basis. And I thought, she is the worst creature on the earth. She has something against me, because it would be things like my job would be to sweep the floor at the end of the day. So I'd kind of sort of sweep it and then go to basketball practice. She would go right down to the gymnasium and say, come here right now. Never raised her voice. Go back and do your job. And it didn't matter what, and she'd say to the coach, she's not coming to practice today. She was on me constantly. And what I'm grateful for, aside from the fact that she taught me the most important lesson of life, which was, you are no different from anyone else, Missy. You have a job to do, so do it. And your job is to do it to the best of your ability, not when you feel like it, but every day. How about that for a lesson? So I was deeply, and by the end, she was also my math teacher. And I struggled with fractions. And things in those early days, you know how things go easily for a while, then suddenly, reached the limit, desperate, I don't know how to, and she saw that kind of fear, and instead of shaming me, she said, here's how we do it. It's very logical. With math, it's always the quickest and most direct route you take. So that was the person who influenced me tremendously. So in the playing of Lydia, somehow she's all in. The Bible is a very close friend to her. And I think she saw the world going to hell. If she was teaching in an all-girls school, let us say, or perhaps a public school, who knows, and she saw the promiscuity, the fact that pollution, nobody cared, the birth rate just sinking. You know, when somebody adheres so strictly to a very rigid take on life, I always wonder, okay, what's the damage? Where's the fear? Because life surely is bigger, isn't it? It'd be nice if life fit into that category of it's either this or it's that. You do it this way or no way. But that isn't life. We all know it. It takes about 10 minutes to realize, oh, I see. Full of change, full of what we don't expect. And so somewhere it just occurred to me, something happened. Did she lose a child? Did a man or many toss her to nothing? Did her parents say to her, you are nothing? And you read that Bible, and that's your only chance in life. Whatever happened there, what's clear is that she's a believer. And the girls are everything to her. So to me, it was about love for the girls. And she takes a firm hand. I think of the principal at my school, the nun, scared the wits out of me. She never showed you any level of vulnerability. She scared us. She felt it was her job to do so. She wanted us to know that this is not going to be an easy path here. And you're not going to be held by the hand. Life will not do that for you, and neither will I. So that made sense to me as far as Lydia goes, you know? She's going to commit until they get it. This is what is required for you to survive in this world of Gilead. Someone like poor, sweet Janine, who says fuck in my presence twice. And Lydia realizes, no. Going to have to make an example here. And then realizes she's not stable. And she shepherds her, you notice, I don't know if you've seen where she realizes I am responsible for her. And I'm going to do whatever I have to do to keep her on the path. So she's not a heartless person. That's a very long-winded answer. I apologize.
No, please.
I really do. I'll make it shorter next time.
No, please. There's so many different directions I could go from this. But since you mentioned nuns, you've played nuns a few times in your career.
I have. Lucky me.
In everything from House to Louis.
Louis, oh my God.
Is there a reason for this? Is there a pattern? Do you just look great in a wimple, or what?
No, I mean, Nothing Sacred there was no wimple there. Well,
Yeah.
Here's the deal. My best friend, she's no longer my best friend. We're not friends. I think she divorced me at one point, which makes me very sad. I wouldn't say her name. But she said, when you're in your early 30s, and you're hoping to God to have a career, like a job, anything. And she said to me once, you're going to play nuns. That's what you're going to play. I said, what? She said, I'm just telling you, you're going to play nuns. And I was crushed. I thought, well, not that I didn't like nuns. I love nuns. I'm related to nuns. But I don't know what she meant. I have to ask her if she'll ever speak to me again. But I don't know what she meant. But then suddenly nuns kept popping up like, okay. Yeah, I don't know. But
Well,
I'm really flattered. I'll be telling you that.
There's a spiritual thread through your career, too. I mean, The Leftovers is a very spiritual show.
I know it is.
Is that something that you're attracted to, or people tend to think of you because you've done before? Why do you think that has become kind of a recurring motif in your career?
It's a great question. I'll tell you a secret. Hello, there's only two of us here, so. I read the script of The Leftovers. Let me just start by saying HBO show shooting in New York City, where I live, and I have 3 children. Do you know what I'm saying? How great would that be? And so I read it. When I think of those early days, I said, oh no. What is this departure business? Ridiculous. Who's departing? No one. I mean, I was like an idiot when I think of my narrow vision. And so I actually said it out loud. Thank God I have patient manager and agent. And I said, I don't get it. I don't know what they're talking about. No one's going anywhere. You die or you don't die. And they took a long beat of silence and said, well, maybe you should read it again, because it is an HBO show shooting in Manhattan. I mean, in New York. So Then I read it, and I thought, that little ping went off. Sorry. And I thought, oh, she's curious. This woman is quite interesting. I'd like her. And she's not talking. What's that about? Can I just say, it was one of the most remarkable experiences of my entire life. And the thing about Damon Lindelof, hold on for dear life in the most brilliant way, and Tom Perrotta. Because you don't even know what's hitting you, because it's not linear, and it's not going to follow a conscious path. The brilliance is that it follows an unconscious path. And so at first, when I'm thinking, can I touch it? Can I smell it? No, don't want to. And suddenly, I'm all in. Took about 1 minute on the set. Then I find out Well, first of all, the no talking, totally I thought.
Yeah, you barely spoke in the first season.
You know, and who
I
can
mean,
do that? I said, how do you, well, let me tell you, try that. Try it in your relationships. Try it with your kids. And by that I mean, don't pretend you're not engaged, just don't talk. You have the power in the room. It's quite remarkable. So suddenly I was like, oh, I'm all over this. And I loved her. You know, that woman, she moved me tremendously, loved her almost immediately. And Damon doesn't volunteer information, ever. But if you write, because you will have questions, you read and you think, I'm sorry, what? You ask him and he will clarify in 2 seconds. Beautiful, and very clear and very, whatever it takes, you'll get what he's saying. Then I find out, so we're going along for a season, and I get the email. Patty is going to, lovely email from Damon, Patty is going to martyr herself. And I started to cry immediately. And I went into my husband, I have the computer. I said, am I reading this correctly? And he said, yeah, you are. You're reading it. I was distraught. For 3 days, wept. Walked around the city like I had lost a chunk of me. I can't describe. And I actually wrote to Damon and said, does this mean, you know, it's on the page, you know. And so here's the thing, and I'll try to be short about this, but it was so immense. That episode in which she, and Justin Theroux, I didn't know him, you know. After going through that experience, and afterwards we both said, this is a love story. And the reason it's a love story is because he sees her fear, where she hides, how she runs from her life, that she carries a burden, and she sees the same in him. And the result is intimacy. And that's about as rare an experience in life. I've been married to my husband for 32 years. I adore him. There's plenty I keep from him. I don't want him to know. I don't mean acts of blah, blah. I just mean, do you know what I'm saying? So the extraordinary experience of I get you and you get me, and for some reason we're together. I don't know why. I'll never get over that experience with Justin. He will be in my life forever. I would throw myself in front of a train, and I will call him anytime for the rest of my life. And then the thing that it taught me also was to let go. Because I was holding on. Well, couldn't we find a way for her to, and then suddenly, ding, because Patty was doing the same thing. Let go of your life. It's over. Let go of attachment. Keep the distraction out. Let go. And so that's what happened. Next thing I know, she's coming back. Imagine. And then in season 2, I remember writing to him, you know how she's, I don't know if you've watched, and how she says, Kevin, I told you not to tell Nora, but you told her and she's gone. Don't tell the daughter, because I said to Damon, so does she want to help the relationship? I mean, is that what's happening here? And why is she there? And he said, oh no, she doesn't believe in relationship. Ding, brilliant, I mean to say. Talk about putting you on the right track. She's who she is. She doesn't know why she's there. As far as she knew, she killed herself and the job was done. Now she's sitting next to him in a truck. And people would say, is she a ghost? And this is the thing, when you work on a Damon Lindelof series, you stop questioning the obvious, because it suddenly doesn't matter. Whatever it was, she was present in his life. And that's all you needed to know. Do you know, that's all I needed? Oh, that was a remark. And then the end of season 2, she lets go of that emotional burden. Her physical life is over, but the emotional burden of, I had a chance to leave and claim my life and say, no, you will not abuse me. You will not treat me as if I do not matter. I won Jeopardy, fuck you. Pardon me, now I have the money, but she never left. And once she releases that burden, it's done for her. And then Kevin says, here, let me help you leave. And the 3rd season is returning the favor to him. Not gonna hide anymore. Come on now. I know you can't do it alone, so I'm gonna help you. We're gonna blow this fantasy life up, so when you wanna run, you're gonna run smack into your life, and you're gonna deal. And that's the third season for Patty. Thank you
And,
for listening. Sorry.
I know you're
Lying about the short answer, wasn't
from
I?
Massachusetts originally, and I read that one of the inspirations for your character Patty was New England Patriots coach Bill Belichick.
Any Patriot fans here?
Anyone want to admit that
I'm
they're
sorry,
Patriot
we're in
fans
New York,
here?
I
Yeah.
get it. I mean, everyone seems to hate every time I bring up Patriots. Thank you, honey. Good job, well done. Yeah, third episode in, I thought, I was I grew up in a family that deeply, may I say, appreciated football, to the annoyance of all the women in the family. And there were 5 girls, 2 boys. It's like, why are you all, we haven't, we're not watching football. Oh, but we are. So I had a kind of resentment, but then after a while, I was obsessed. And then suddenly I was like playing in the third, I thought, who is she reminding me of? It seems so physical and everything. And I thought, oh my God, it's Bill Belichick. And that just, you don't search for who should I base her on? I mean, it doesn't work that way, does it? It's whatever presents, do you know? And I remember thinking, he doesn't care. It's all about the game and winning it. He's full in, doesn't care one bit what other people say about him. And it's all about team playing. You're no more special than anybody else on this team, and you want to try that? Get out of my... So anyway, yeah, is the answer.
And both The Handmaid's Tale and Leftovers seem to be resonating with people right now, given kind of our current political climate. How does that feel for you to be involved in projects that are so kind of au courant?
I feel so incredibly fortunate. You know how it goes, right? With our careers, you never know what's going to happen. We want a job, we want a meaningful piece of work to put our lives into some order. And to just have that, I wish it for everybody, that you have a role that, and then suddenly someone says, yeah, you know what, given what we're going through, may I watch that show? So that's the only answer I can tell you. I'm just so grateful for it.
And what's the atmosphere like on the set of The Handmaid's Tale? I mean, it's primarily female cast members. I mean, does that change the dynamic in any way, or not necessarily?
No, that's a really interesting question, because suddenly you find yourself, wait a minute, how do I answer? When we first showed at Tribeca, we had a screening of episode 1, the pilot. And I think it was full of reporters and regular, people coming to see the movie, the show. And somebody asked, they think we talk easily because we're actors. No. When you're sitting as a cast and suddenly political questions are coming your way, you realize someone's writing this down, and I'm not sure, I mean, I know how I feel, but I'm not sure I'm expressing myself clearly. And the next thing you know, someone's challenging me. She said, I was very tired that day, hadn't slept, so I didn't have that instinct to not speak. But I remember Lizzie said something, Lizzie Moss, so wonderful. Someone asked the question, is it a feminist piece? I want to say, hello? Well, it's obviously a feminist. I mean, really, is that your best question? But Lizzie went further. She said it's a human story, which of course is what it is. The repressed and the repressor, until you find some way to see one another, the problem is not going away. And it may take force, and it will. It will take push, but it's not just for women. I mean, but what was the other thing I was going to say? Oh yeah, somebody asked me, so you have do you love the women directors and having a lot? Yes, of course, because the talented ones are the talented ones, and the talented men are wonderful. This is not about men against women in terms of our worth or who you want to work with on your set. Let the story take care of that. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Not that women shouldn't have, hey, let's make it an equal playing field, for goodness sake. But it's not like it comes as a big surprise, right? I grew up in a very loving family business, Dowd Insurance. There was no way any of the girls in the family, and we were 5, were going to inherit the business. Oh no, it was a given. It was going to go to the men. I remember thinking, that's curious. I know they love me, I think. But this notion of second-class citizen, it comes early. Do you know what I'm saying? So we're not like, what? We just have to find our way. Anyway.
And yet I read that your family wasn't necessarily totally on board with you becoming an actor either. Is that correct? I mean, they wanted you to have a fallback plan. You studied medicine, pre-medicine, I guess, as well in
Yeah.
college, right?
Well, my beautiful father died when I was 18, which is the year before I went to college. And I spent my adolescence worrying about him, essentially. And he went to Holy Cross, as did my grandfather. And he said, you'll go. Will you go to Holy Cross? It's a wonderful Jesuit school in Worcester, Massachusetts. I said, I'm not going. Why would I go? You went. That's your life. My life's not there. Not doing it. I was that annoying teenager. Oh, my God. And I'm being paid back. Let me just make that clear. Anyway, then I found out we thought he would live longer. But my mother got word that, in fact, he would not. And so I came home from school. I had gotten Adelaide in Guys and Dolls. I was over the moon. I came flying into the house. And my mother was crying, and so was my sister. My mother wasn't a crier. And I said, what is it? And she said, Dad has between 2 and 5 years. Well, he was gone in 3 months. But what that allowed me, that notice that he was not going to be with us, is that I got my act together and I went down to his office and I had a rose. This is so personal, I hope you don't mind. And I said, can I see you for a minute? And he was like, what happened? Because we were at odds a lot. You know how it is. You have strong, blah, blah, blah. And I said, no, everything's good. Have you got a minute? So we went into his office and I said, listen, I'm going to Holy Cross. I don't know what my problem was, why I was fighting you, but I'm going. You'd think I'd given him everything, you know? Are you sure? Are you going? I said, yeah, I don't know why I was resisting. I'm going. Of course I'm going. Can't wait. And then I said, and also, I'm not going to go to summer theater. He wants the family to be together. That was my house, you know. We all spent the summers together. I said, I'm not going. I don't want to go. What was I thinking? And then I said, and the third thing is I got Adelaide in Guys and Dolls. Well, it was one of the loveliest 5 minutes of my life. And then we walked to get the tickets for him to go to Antigua with my mother, which is where he died a few months later. But I had those 5 minutes. So my point here is, and I told him I was going to be a doctor. That was the plan. So losing him, I was all in. I will come hell or high water. And pre-med is very tough, as you know, the anxiety. And you have to have A's or you're not going to be competitive. You can't get into the med school, so it was that pressure. And finally, of course, I was doing plays in college, you know, lucky me, which was where the love was. But it didn't occur to me that you could live a life based on what you love to do. I didn't grow up with someone saying, by the way, you love that, do it. I mean, I don't know. I just don't know. So it wasn't until maybe senior year where my roommate, she lost her brother, so we were like this. We got it. People saying, come on, get back to your life. It's like, don't speak, you don't get it. Grief is hard. That's another thing about Leftovers, learning to sit with grief. Anyway, so I stayed in pre-med for 4 years. And then in senior year, my roommate said, is this really what you want? I said, well, and then another friend said, I have an audition for an acting school. Do you want to sign up? I said, yes, I do. And that was that, my poor dear mother, who accepted it. Not at first, she said, oh, the one who is going to do well and go to med school is choosing this haphazard life. But it's all good. And I said to my grandmother, I'm going to be an actress. And she said, she's quite conservative, but beautiful. I should say, and beautiful. And she said, but you're not going to, that's a hobby, honey. It's not a life. And I said, but those are the gifts I was given. And she said, of course they were. Of course you're going to be an actress. You know, you have that kind of influence so you can turn and go ahead. So.
And you've gone to play a doctor a few times.
Yeah.
So you could have lived
It'd be
that
nice
out.
to do both. You could give back in that way, you know, especially in the world.
Then that took you to Chicago, correct?
Yes.
DePaul University?
Yes.
How much time did you spend there? What did you learn in the Chicago theater scene?
Oh, that's a great place. Well, acting school was it was great the first year because, you know, you're doing voice and speech and you're doing movement. Hello. You know, it's not physics and it's not high-end, you know, just like, what? This is really a class? What? But the problem was I applied the same mentality to the learning of acting, which was commit, study, get it right, Work all day, go home, work all night. And there's the character waiting for you. No. It's all about letting go, isn't it? It's a relationship. Hello, and here's the character, you're meeting that character, you want to get to know. She wants to know you before she says, sure, come on into my life. Do you know what I'm saying? So that whole process was about changing my perspective and realizing, honey, you gotta let go. You can't hold on for dear life here. So that was a long learning curve, that the way to get through is not to try to control. Like I have stage fright to this day. And one time I went, has anyone ever lived in LA? Okay, you know how suddenly your mind, I don't know, your reality shifts? And I was doing a play there and I had terrible stage fright. I'm going off the track, shall I stop?
No, please, go ahead.
And it used to take, I swear to you, I used to go out and roll around on the hills, weeping to get the courage to go in and do the show. I'm thinking, you know what, honey, this is a problem because this is what you want your life, you want to do this, but you're a wreck. So I went to there's you know how there's healers and everything? Tons, love it. And I had my little girl was there, she was 3, and my boy, who at the time was maybe 10, who was a special needs, now he's a special needs adult on the autistic spectrum. He was in New York, so he wasn't with us. And a castmate said, I got to deal with this stage fright. I mean, I can't. He said, I know who to go to. Oh my God. So name. I said, name, number, address. That's all I need. So she lived in Burbank. She had never been to the theater in her life. She was just, she had a job that she did, and this is a gift she had, and she shared it. She charged a very reasonable amount of money, I walked in her house, and she said, whoa, what's the fear? What's going on? And then she said, where's your other child? He's a child with disabilities. Where is he? I wasn't looking for proof that people have these gifts. It was already clear. There are wonderful gifts, and they're distributed to certain people and so on. And so I said, I'm here because I have very bad stage fright. And I don't know what to do because I don't want to go on like this. And what she does is read your guides. She said, we all come in with guides in our life who shepherd us and make sure they're watching. And I don't know if you're listening, but they're always there. I said, okay. She said, so they are the ones I speak to. I can tell you what yours look like. I said, no, that's okay. So this is how it went. I'm not kidding. You're me. And I sang, I have this terrible. Okay. Can you, wait a minute, what? I'm not even joking, and it wasn't, nothing about it. She said, can you use another word? Because she had no vocabulary in theater, so she didn't know what, so, okay. All right. They're saying, and I swear to God, it was as real as rain. She said, they're saying that you are trying to control the audience and their response to your performance. And because you're trying so hard, you are not receiving the help that is coming to you from the floors, like of the stage or the dressing room? Okay, the theater. That you're getting help from everywhere, but you are blocking it because you want the audience to like your performance, so you're holding on. And she wasn't even doing that holding on, she was just saying the words that they were saying. And it, of course, all rang true. She said, and it's on the level, are you sure? She goes, it's on the level of trauma. So what they're suggesting is you go back to, well, like, but which one? To a class where the stakes are much lower, and just try to slowly work your way to a place where you can let go and not try to control them. And then she said, I said, is there anything else? Still in that pre-med mode, I've got this pad, not getting it, Ian, not getting it. And then she said, I said, is there anything else they recommend? And she went and listened. She said, yes, they said yoga. Yoga would be good. And I said, like every day or whatever. And so she went like this, and then she burst out laughing. She said, they asked me to tell you it's not a race. I'm not sure what the heck I asked you that, why I answered that, but you know what I'm saying? It's just that lesson of let go. Just take your hands off it. Take your hands off.
Well, you did a lot of stage work in Chicago,
Yes,
right?
I
You also
did.
met your husband while you were there, is that correct?
Yes.
And you both are involved in acting and theater.
Yes.
And then you decided to move to New York.
Well, we were lucky because, first of all, my husband, the reason I draw breath, let me say, I looked across, he was an acting student my first year, we were both first-year students, and he was in Antigone, and he had this scruffy beard, and I had never said 2 words to him. And he was over at the bulletin board, and he was checking something, and I thought, oh, that's my husband. I thought, I don't love the look. I swear. But I knew, I said, that is my husband. Oh, that's interesting. Took a while to get him on the same track, so let me tell you. He was fully involved elsewhere. But he grew up in Manhattan, and the ladies' garment union workers bought land in Chelsea when it was a slum. And they built 10 buildings in Penn South. And there are 10 buildings, half of which are double buildings, 21 floors. And you buy the apartment, but you don't profit. So if you choose to leave, you just get back what you put in. So it's not profit, do you understand? And so there's a long waiting list, one can imagine. So his mother said to him, put your name on that list. When he was 18, he was like, oh. He paid his $25, and it came up 14 years later. That's when we moved, because we had a place to come. Lucky us.
And you had started to do some TV work before that in Chicago,
Yeah,
right?
a little bit, yep.
This is for the SAG-AFTRA Foundation. Was your first job the one that got you your SAG card? I know you made a TV movie called First Steps, appropriately enough.
Loved it.
With Judd Hirsch.
Yes, he was so good. I'm trying to think, what's that thing you do when you Taft-Hartley?
Taft-Hartley, yes.
I think I tried that because I couldn't pay the dues, which I didn't have at the time. You know, I did that maybe 1 or 2 times. Easier to do then, I think. I'm not sure how it works now. Dues now are quite, that's hard for an actor starting out. But soon after.
Yeah.
Soon after, yeah. For
And
sure.
your first film was Green Card, is that correct?
It was, thank you. You did your homework. Love that.
What was that like? I mean, Gerard Depardieu
my
must have been quite a presence.
Stab me, I was a wreck. He's fabulous.
Yeah.
He is, you get what he's like. He's just like, here it is, life is here, and we're good. I love Peter Weir. It was clear then, and I say this with no disrespect, that Andie MacDowell was not a trained actress. Though when I see the film, she's so good. And I think she's really, I don't know how you put it together when you have had no training. She did, and she was wonderful, but I saw her trying to put the pieces together, and I thought, wow, if someone had explained, this is how you approach it, you know what I'm saying? Not that I knew, I was busy frantic about my own 5 lines or whatever it was. But it was a huge learning curve, and in a fairly gentle environment, which is kind of great. No one's saying, what are you doing here? Do you know what I mean? Which is the fear.
And very soon after that, you make Philadelphia with the late Jonathan Demme.
Oh, God, Jonathan Demme.
And you played Tom Hanks' sister in that film. What do you remember about?
Well, I'll tell you what I remember. My baby was, when I got the job, like 5 months old, my first sweet boy. And you know those days when you're going to audition and for the life of you, you can't get out of your head? It's like an affliction. And it was one of the hottest days of the year, and it was humid. And I was saying, Ann, and I was shut down, totally shut down. I was talking to perfect strangers on the way to the audition. Try to get out. How are you? Oh, I like your jacket. And people are going, who are you talking to? Because you're not talking to me. I don't know you, you're weird. But it was just trying to get out of my, that terrible feeling when you just can't break out and get in the room and be. So I tried everything, and it was clear, and my agent had worked very hard to get this appointment for me. And it was one of the first meeting of a really wonderful director in the film that was very high profile. So I just gave it up. I thought, you know what? It's not going to happen today. And just relax. Get in the room, say the lines you learned, be nice, use your manners, and then get the hell out of there. So I walked in, and Jonathan's a lovely, lovely man, God rest his soul. And the producer was there, and the casting director. And you know how it is with casting directors. They're taking a chance. You're unknown. They're like, hello, could you have a conversation and then do the scenes? You know what I'm saying? There are expectations. So I couldn't get it out. And so the casting director jumped in and said, well, Ann's just had a baby. And I thought, okay, that's a good jumping off point. Everyone can talk about babies, right? Well, here's what I said. There are so many baby stories, may I say, and a lot of them are hilarious and sweet. This is what I said. Yes, and he stood up in the crib today. And I died. I was sitting there going, no, I didn't say that. And then there was a silence because it was so dull. And I thought, oh, you've got to be kidding. So then he said, well, why don't we read the scene? Always this, sentence of death. Like, okay, let's give this up. So we read this scene, and I said, thank you. And I walked out, and I walked straight to a payphone before cell phones. I called my manager, my agent at the time, she's now, and I said, I know you worked hard. I'm so sorry. I did the best I could, and it didn't happen. I'm really grateful for the. I get home, and I'm talking 20 minutes later. There's the message. I think you got it, screaming. You got it. I said, what? And I called and I said, what are you talking about? She said, yeah, you're going to go in tomorrow, you're going to read with Tom Hanks, you're going to meet blah, blah, blah. I said, what are you talking about? How can this be? I couldn't believe it. You know why I got it? Okay, here's a lesson for all of us. Not that you need lessons, forgive me if that sounded obnoxious. My manager told me this later. Because the way I presented in the room, I already explained the condition I was in, which was as dull as it gets. He didn't think she's a lawyer, a scientist. She's just a mother of kids who's tired and getting through the day, which was the role. I swear to God. So I said to myself, you know what, don't ever forget this. You do the best you can, and you walk out, and you hope for the best, and you don't crucify yourself. You just say, you know what, we'll see what happens. It could work. And of course, we wept through the whole shooting of that film. That was beautiful. Tom Hanks, Joanne Woodward, imagine. All these wonderful actors. I was just like, I can't believe I'm sitting next to them. It was a great, great experience. And
then you got to work with Jonathan again many years later on The Manchurian Candidate.
Yeah.
Playing a congressperson.
With Meryl Streep, try that.
Was your relationship with him different at that point, having established yourself more in the industry?
No, I mean, one always feels tremendously humble and grateful to be on a set with a director you respect every single time. And that's how it was. And the thing about Meryl, we all know her work. My goodness, what does one need to say? Here's the thing that's shocked me, and it shouldn't have. She's as real as they get. She talked, sat down, and we chatted. She's trying to remember her lines just like everybody else. She's alert to what is happening in a scene. That jumps right out. She doesn't forget, because we did some improv, questions. She was extraordinary. But the humanity in her, just what you hope is the case, is the case. Yeah, it was wonderful. Loved it.
And you've also worked with Steven Soderbergh a couple of times on The Informants and Side Effects, very different movies.
Yeah, I was trying to remember the name, The Informant. Yeah. Okay, no words. Okay, Soderbergh, I don't want to, her hyperbole, I can't help it because you're saying all these wonderful people. First of all, your day is 7 hours. Can I just repeat that? Because I'm shooting a wonderful series now called Good Behavior, which I love so much. Michelle Dockery, remember her? Okay, Downton Abbey, so British, high-end. She's playing white trash, former meth addict, thief, grifter. She's off the charts. Great. Anyway, the hours are 15, 16 hours. Soderbergh, and this is how he stands. I hope I can get back up in the chair. This is what he does. He's so smart, you can't believe it. So you know how a set is, everyone's scurrying. You're trying to, the clock. This is him. Perfectly peaceful, because he knows what he wants. His mind will allow him to see how he wants to shoot it. He's economical in his shooting. He knows how he wants to tell the story visually. And if you ask a question, got the answer right there. It's an extraordinary experience. And the first one, The Informant, it was a bunch of comedians, and they were hilarious, all men. And you know how they compete with one another? I suppose we all do, but comedians have that kind of special thing going on. where they're one-upping each other. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's all funny. But it was so early, and for me, I was just desperately shy, thinking, just let me get through this and remember my lines. And Soderbergh came in just before it went raunchy. It was about to go there, And he went like this, okay, we're gonna wrap this up. Lady on the set, thank you. I mean, he was just cute like that. I love him. He's so good.
And you've also done a lot of guest starring work on television.
Yeah.
Some very good shows, NYPD Blue, X-Files.
NYTV.
What's the art of being a guest star, coming onto a show like that? That's a moving operation.
Yeah,
and
but that's
just
tough, wouldn't you say? That's a rough place to be, because you want to be in the family, but you're not. You're a distant cousin, and you're just here for the day or 2 days. And everyone's trying to be nice to you, but you're not in the family. You just say, you know what, I get it. It's very hard. But NYPD Blue is a wonderful example. I was a huge fan of, name?
Hill Street Blues? Or?
No.
Oh, Dennis Franz? Or?
No, the writer.
David Milch? Stephen Bochco?
Another one, David Milch,
yes.
Beyond. But then I can just say that it was like a boys' club in a way. And so the way it goes there, and I thought the show was wonderful. And I was so happy to get a chance. So I was playing the wife of a sergeant who was found dead in the back seat of his cruiser with a woman, his mistress, and they died because of carbon monoxide. Hello, day one. But the thing is, I couldn't for the life of me figure out what the track was for her. What did she want? I couldn't put it together. And I was desperate. I knew it had to have a strong emotional content, but that doesn't get you through a scene. Hello? You need a path. What do I want? What's in my way? The basics. So the first thing is you read it, and that's all like a farce. Dennis Franz, so lovely. They've all done it for 1 billion years. They get it, and they get it fast. Then you do it again for camera, but David Milch is not there. Then we were going to shoot it after lunch. And I went to the trailer, and I wept, and I called my husband, and I said, I can't do it. I don't even know what I'm doing, and everyone, it's so harsh, like everyone's like this, moving, not mean, but and I just was lost. And I just said, I don't think I can do it. And he said, well, of course you can do it, and you're gonna do it. Just take a breath. You've been through things like this. You know what you're doing. So I walk in, and I'm ready to just do what I can. And there's David Milch. And so we're gonna run it for him, and then we're gonna shoot. So we ran it, and he said, he loves actors. What's better than that? When a director loves actors and doesn't think of us as spoiled children who are just looking for a way to speak out, it's a beautiful thing. Do you know what I mean? And it's so important. And he smiled. He said, do you know what she wants? I said, no. And he said, she's protecting the dignity of her husband. As soon as he said it, okay, no more questions. The path lit up for me. I didn't care how I sounded, what I looked like, what it felt like. He put me on the path that is an actor's dream, which is, what are you doing? What do you want? That's the ticket to freedom, isn't it? Nothing, you don't go in your head, no point. You do what human beings do, go after what you want. I got in the car after that experience, and I wept again, but this time with gratitude, because he taught me something, and he showed me how to get there. I haven't met him since, I don't think, but I'll never forget that. Anyway.
You also guest starred on Judging Amy with Amy Brenneman, who you later worked with on
Amy.
The Leftovers.
What a doll.
Had you bonded with her on that experience when you came back together again? Or?
No, I love Miss Schlewe. I love making fun of her kid. Not special, no. No, you know how that is when you're still such a distant cousin. And that I felt like in that case, you're just trying to get in there. But Leftovers, it's 3 or 4 in the morning. And we're out in some town in upstate New York. I don't even know where we are. You give up asking after a while. Where are we going? And it's 3 in the morning, and we don't really know who the guilty remnant is. We haven't quite figured that out. So think of this. Think of sweet Liv Tyler, the doll. Liv Tyler, who's, gorgeous, saying, I'm on a goat milk cleanse. We're like, Liv? The fuck? Girl, eat something, have a hamburger. And so we got to know one another, sitting on, middle of the night in the middle of nowhere, howling with laughter. She's great, that Amy, and Liv, just getting to know her and her sweetness, the whole thing. I mean, it was, yeah, I love Amy, love her.
And your first regular series role was on Nothing Sacred, which we mentioned earlier, where you played a nun. That was kind of a controversial show at the time. There was some backlash. I mean, how did you deal with that, just as an actor?
I was disappointed because we only went 13. It was a beautiful series and controversial, hello, because a priest questions God. Do you know what I'm saying? It was real. It was written by a Jesuit, Bill Kane, whom I love. And it was a wonderful series. And far to the right, yet again, trying to knock it down and to really get ABC to drop it and to get rid of those, then it was not cable. It was all, network shows, really hard to get a place. It was beautiful, and there was no reason for, it wasn't controversial, my God. It was just real, and I guess that wasn't especially welcome. People are funny about religion, They take serious ownership of it, and they apply and give God all these attributes that have nothing to do with the God we're supposed to. Do you know what I'm saying? Whether you believe in God or you don't, knows that everything, loves, it's all about that, and then suddenly his feelings are hurt because who are you talking about? Anyway, so.
Well, then God brought HBO into your life.
Yes,
You've had an amazing run on HBO for the past several years.
Yeah.
I saw you referred to as the prestige cable drama It Girl in one article.
Oh, what does that mean? What does that mean?
Well, you just keep turning up on these great
I know. I'm sorry.
shows. A lot
I
of them
want to
on
say
HBO.
people are like, could you just stay home and take care of your children and stop bothering us on television?
So I wanted to talk about some of those projects. True Detective comes to mind.
I love that so much. I can barely see straight. You know how when you have those auditions, I went on tape for that.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, if I don't get it, there's going to be a problem. And I don't mean for them because they don't care. For me, I loved her. And let me tell you, on that set, first of all, the house, it was like by the river in New Orleans, outside of the, and I saw this young kid and a father and a mother, and they were walking around with sticks. I said, honey, what are you doing? He said, he was a snake thingy, where you go around and you make sure the house is cleared of snakes. Do you understand? The kid's 13, I was like, okay, the family business is this. And they cleared the rats, and they found moccasins. We're in Louisiana. And so there's the atmosphere. Do you know what I mean? You walk into that house, the art department. So everything supported this desperate life of someone who is not capable, who doesn't know that you don't make love with your brother, who doesn't know the bizarre nature of this world. I loved it. And Woody Harrelson, doll. Just completely what you'd hope he is, that's what he is. The only thing I would say about Woody Harrelson, I don't know how he does it, is that he doesn't believe in air conditioning. So in other words, the poor vans, for the environment, he's like, turn them off when you're waiting, imagine. So these poor drivers sitting there going, help. But lovely, lovely environment. Love the actor who played my brother. Yeah. When you're in the theater, you have a certain level of trust like that. Because you know what it is to be in the trenches and go out on a stage and you think, God, help me, let me get this right. So I loved it.
And you were also part of the amazing ensemble of Olive Kitteridge for HBO. What was that experience like being with Frances McDormand? And
she's great. She's just like
Richard
you think
Jenkins
she is. Such a straight shooter. Do you know what I mean? She's right there, sharp, so good. She's a minimalist in the sense that she just says and does what's necessary to be said and done. I was very fond of her. She's very generous. Richard Jenkins, just like you'd think he is, as real as he can be. Loved the director. She was great. And it's a beautiful story. So that was, and there it was on the coast in Massachusetts. I'm from Massachusetts. Not that part by the ocean, but it was so pretty. And my family's there, it was like a holiday. extended. I loved it, loved it.
And all of these projects seem to come up after you did your role in Compliance,
Yeah.
which really got a lot of attention.
Thank you very much.
It was a very small film to start, though. I mean, did you expect it was going to have any kind of impact or that kind of impact when you were making it? Did you know this was going to be kind of a game changer for you?
Never occurred to me. Never occurred to me. I did, this is funny. I sound like I should be taken to an asylum, but in Chicago, I was on the way to wait on tables. In my black pants, my white shirt, and my black tie. You know, come on. And I walked by, and there was a premiere of a film called About Last Night. And Elizabeth Perkins, a classmate of mine, starring in it. Her career about to go into it. So she's getting out of a limo, and I'm going to wait on tables. And I went home, you know, we've all had these moments, and I wept. And I'm sitting on the porch going, no, when is it going to happen? I cannot do this. And I was really distraught. And my sweet husband, who's an actor also, who knows about patience, was just saying, you gotta find something that interests you in the meantime, like draw something, do anything. I'm wailing on the porch. And I was alone, and I heard some voice, and I'm not joking, whether it was a voice or something, and it said, it will all be fine. It will be fine. You will be in your 50s. You will be 56. I swear to God, Compliance 56. And I remember saying at the time, you know, poor Bruce going to say, all right, let's wrap this up.
No, I'm fascinated.
And I remember saying on the porch, no, I'm not waiting till I'm in my 50s. Oh, no. Sorry. And then, you know, life continues, doesn't it? And Compliance came along. There was a conflict. It's the first time I ever said in a room of an audition, ever, I got her, I understood her, because people would say, you know, did you find that a hard role to wrap your head around? I was like, no woman alive today will find this a hard role to wrap their head around. God forgive me. I don't mean to make great statements here. But, you know, if you don't have if you're born into, you don't matter, your opinion's not that important, and certainly not interesting, and you're overweight, so you better marry him because no one else is going to ask you. She's working in a fast food restaurant, doesn't have the constitution to say, excuse me, a detective, then come down here and do your job because I'm running a restaurant and I've got time for you. Never occurred to her. Why? She has no agency. She never was told in her life that you are valued and what you think and say, and guess what? No is a full sentence. She didn't have that, right? How'd I get off on that? So the point simply is, shooting it, we shot it in 14 days, I believe. And you just got down to business. That was the great thing of it. It was an independent picture. You just did what you needed to do. I love Craig Zobel, who wrote it so well and directed it so well. Wonderful cast. But never occurred to me, because my friend read it, that same friend who said, you're going to play nuns all your life. That one. I got to find her and have a little chat. But she said, that movie, she had a very strong reaction to the fact, to the abuse and everything. As many were triggered. Sundance was beyond. Someone screaming in the back. Violence against women is not entertainment, really screaming. So learning early on that it was controversial in the sense that it triggered people left and right. Yeah, but it was a wonderful experience.
And why do you think it did kind of take you to the next level in some ways professionally? What do you think it was about that role in that project that really brought you?
I'm not exactly sure. You know, to me, it was another day in working on a role that I loved. It didn't seem any different to me, do you know? But somehow it got attention. The story and the bizarreness of it, and that it touched nerves. I mean, you know how that is. You just lucky in that way, you know?
How did you shoot? I mean, because it seemed like the way the story unfolded was a very kind of slow reveal of this woman's psyche, but were you shooting out of sequence? I mean, how did you sort of...
You know how that is, we shoot, and not only that, we jumped in because we used a fast food restaurant, a chicken place in New Jersey. So we had to shoot at night. So we didn't gradually go to splits and then night. We started, and at about 3 a.m, you're literally going, help me to care. I mean, remind me this is being filmed because I am so tired. So no, it was out of sequence. And I remember though, the last thing, the interview with the reporter for 2020 or whatever it was. The first time I did it, I just wept through it. And then I looked at Craig and he looked at me and he goes, that's not right, is it? I said, no, it's definitely not right. Because that would have mean that she had accepted that her life went way off the rails. Because when you participate in that way, and then you realize what just happened, either your life falls apart, which it should do, because that's a crisis, or you say what this woman said, you would have done the same thing. You would have thought I was a detective, and I don't know what the big deal is. I did what I'm supposed to do, and I don't know what your problem is. So I feel for her, because I don't know where her life is now. But I remember just knowing in that moment of shooting that episode, wow, this isn't going to go well for her after this, you know?
Yeah, yeah. You played a lot of mothers in various qualities. Busy Phillips' mother on Freaks and Geeks.
Loved,
and
oh my God.
Natalie Portman's mother in Garden State.
Yeah.
Do you bring your own experiences as a mother to those kind of roles, or?
Well, sure, you know, but doesn't it always begin with the writing? You know what I'm saying? Like, Zach Braff is hysterical. And he also knew exactly what he wanted. And he told us ahead of time, you know, I'm looking for, this is what I'm looking for, be very familiar with your words, da 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 da. And again, you always feel like you're being tossed out of a plane, don't you? Or at least I do, or shot out of a cannon. You're just trying to look like you're not ready to faint. And, you know, so you draw on what's natural to you. And I thought that role was well written, you know. And the other one, though, with Freaks and Geeks, I just don't know why, but I wanted that role bad because I thought she was so out of her mind in the best way. And, you know, a role I'd never played someone like her, you know. And that phrase, don't make me go up there. Do you know that from our childhood? Don't make me come up there, or whatever it is. That's all I could think about with her is she just, you know, I don't know. Love Busy Phillips. She's a doll.
And you've done a lot of comedy, but not necessarily sitcoms, not necessarily like the four-camera laugh track kind of show.
No.
Do you think there's a reason for that? Do you think that your style doesn't necessarily suit it?
I don't know, but I'll be searching one out because you know why? Listen to this. I just started a film called A Kid Like Jake. It's wonderful. It's with Claire Danes. I know. What can you say? She's so great. And Jim Parsons. Mm-hmm. So I know what the hours are on Homeland because I know what the hours are with Leftovers and the hours with Handmaids. I said, Jim, how about your hours? You can't imagine. He comes in on Wednesday. I mean, they're fully in. They've been in several years. They know what they're doing, 10 years or something. You know, they have a read-through on Wednesday, and then they go home, and then Thursday maybe they rehearse, and then Friday rehearse, and then can you imagine? I mean, then you go home and you have a life, you know, and you see your kids, and anyway, so I'll be looking for one of those. I'd love to.
Another maternal role on Masters of Sex, playing Michael Sheen's mother, which is interesting because you're not that much older than Michael Sheen.
I kept saying, someone do the math here and help me. But then you don't say that because you love the job. And I'm saying, really? Yeah, it's great.
I mean, do you think that that's a strength in a way, that you can play different ages convincingly?
Well, I don't, I mean, yes, sure, absolutely. You know, you're on the set 5 minutes and suddenly you feel ancient, and I feel like I could have played his grandmother by the time I was done. But it was a great experience there too, you know. It was very good. Michelle Ashford is the writer-producer. Wonderful.
And again, with Captain Fantastic, I guess you...
oh my God, that movie. Have you ever...
part of that amazing ensemble, working with Frank Langella and Viggo Mortensen and...
Well, especially...
And the kids.
First of all, you land... Those kids. Have you ever? you land on the set and you know immediately that there's something special going on. Those children blew my mind every day. Their work ethic, their kindness, their attention to detail, their behavior, manners. Viggo Mortensen is beyond. Like Justin in the sense of he's the captain of this ship, totally devoted to you know, they went out and lived in the woods in prep for this. Do you know what I mean? They weren't fooling around. Matt Ross, who wrote it, you just knew right away. And when I saw the film, mind you, I did it and I read it. I started to weep maybe 10 minutes in. I thought, oh my God, I don't know if I'd have never seen anything more beautiful in the mourning of that mother. and the way they did it, and unlike in the way they were brought up, that they could, those children got it enough where the way they grieved it. I was blown away by that film. And yeah, loved it. How about when she sang that song? What are you gonna, oh, it's a beautiful experience, beautiful.
And you were also in the next to last episode of Girls.
Oh, Girls.
Offering Dunham a job that she ultimately didn't take, but, and you were also in the next to last episode of Leftovers. Is this kind of a pattern here that you kind of pop in right before the end of shows? But you were a fan of Girls before.
Yeah, well, I always thought, wow, she kind of blew me away. She's the real deal, as you probably gathered. She'll change the world in one fashion or another. She's a completely available, real, generous. Because it's nerve-wracking. I don't care how many times you do it. You pop in for a family visit of one day, and you're just hoping you can. She couldn't have been more lovely, and she doesn't take a second to get into that character. And I mean, not a second. She can go there. So that's another thing. I felt like I dreamed that because it all happened so fast, you know? And you go home and you think, wow, I think I was in that. I think I did that. And she lets you play, too, with the words. And that's so fun. You know, out of respect to the writer, of course, you say what is written. And then she said, oh, you know, we'll have fun, we'll do. You know, it was lovely.
I mean, it seems like you've worked so steadily for all these years doing such great work, but there must have been lean times along the way. How do you get through that? I mean, I take it your husband is a great source of support, understanding.
He is, and he's also sensible, not. Do you know what I mean? So there's that. It's like, you know, how do we do that? We all do. I could go 5 weeks and keep a steady course without work, and then I would just go off the deep end. But I realized something. I had my daughter, I was 41 years old, and my little baby girl, and I was as thin as a rail. I went on I lived in Laurel Canyon, so up those, and I couldn't work to save my life. I couldn't figure it out. I was like, what's going on here? Never looked better. Tiny Tim, the hair and the makeup, everything. Couldn't get hired. And each time, and in LA, you go out quite a bit. Each time I wouldn't get a role, I'd weep. And I caught myself in the middle of a weep. I was going, and then I went, and I said to myself, you're choosing this response. You are choosing to fall apart after not getting all of these roles. Why are you doing that? Stop it now. Snap out of it right now. You're in this for the long run. You know this. So you're really going to fall apart every time you don't get a part? Stop it. You have children, you have a life. You have, there's a roof over your damn head. And someone is sending you out. Just get a perspective and, you know, make the world bigger for yourself. Do you know what I'm saying? I think you have to choose that perspective. And plus I have a very strong, I'm an optimist by nature, but also I just can't go there. What if it doesn't? I just can't. Why? You know what I'm saying? You just hope for the best, do your work, you know, use your manners, be good to people. And I don't know, I sound like I don't even know what, but it's just, I don't know. Just stay the course, you know, stay the course.
Have things changed for you in the last, 5 or 10 years? I mean, I ran across several articles online that were like, kind of just discovering you when Compliance, came out, and then we're going back and saying, oh, but you didn't realize it, but she was also in this and this and this, and you've never really put it all together.
Yeah.
And now people are knowing your face and knowing your name. I mean, does that change your day-to-day life in any way?
Well, it does. People are lovely. People who love Leftovers, say, or Handmaids. What's nicer than someone saying, are you in that? It's lovely. As I said, I'm very close to Justin, and of course, though I've met Jen. They don't have privacy of any kind. And they're lovely, down-to-earth people. They can't go anywhere. I have that freedom. I don't, you know what I mean? The few who stop and say, you just want to say, and thank you so much. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, yes, I am that character, and it's the best. But the nice thing, too, I think aging is underrated. Do you know? I really do, because you have some perspective. You just can't hold on so tight, because life teaches you to do the opposite if one listens. I take a long time before I listen. And I finally got it now. Of course, it's easy to let go now because the work is there, lucky me, imagine. And I hope you're all getting the roles you want and deserve. it's just lovely, you know? And so you can, and even on set, I'm playing a character in this that's an FBI agent, blast. Chad Hodge is the writer, he's so good. This is Good Behavior. You gotta watch her, Michelle, and him, Juan Botto. They're so good. And Terry Kinney, you know Terry Kinney. She doesn't, the things just fly out of her mouth. She says some of the funniest things I've ever heard. But you gotta let go. You can't craft it like, whoa. And so it's such a lesson every day. Ann, relax. Do you know what I'm saying? You realize, it used to bug me when people would say, well, it's not brain surgery. And you want to say, no, it isn't, but if it were, you would be dead. That's how seriously you're not taking this, okay? But still, it is our work, right? And to me, entertainment is what touches the soul, not what distracts us from life, although that isn't bad. Kind of like that Jeopardy, I'm all over it. I don't know any of the answers, I'm glued. But if I'm going to choose to watch a show, I want to engage in what's happening in the lives of these people, you know.
Another notable achievement of yours is you played 4 different characters on Law & Order for the course of 12 years. The great New York actor story. Do any of them,
good?
It was between 1991 and 2003, so that's quite a span, you know, of your life and career. Do any of them kind of stand out in your mind as particularly memorable?
Well, they all have in their way. You know that there's one where I take a baby, steal a baby, and love that. And so I went down to that lovely sort of hospital on, not sort of, the hospital on 7th Avenue, the children's, you know, they have terrible disabilities, those poor, beautiful children, and they've kind of been abandoned. So there's a lovely hospital, and these are adults who are eating out of, you know what I'm saying, real disabilities. And that's where the characters took a baby from, for some reason. So I found a way, I got in there, and I snuck upstairs, you know, you're not allowed. I thought, how would she have achieved that? What would she have done? And somehow I got in. Finally, a nurse said, what are you doing here? Well, you're not supposed to be here. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I thought this was visiting hours. And I left. So it was just that notion of put into action the plan. Take the character outdoors with you and see how the job gets done. Really try that, Ann. Put the script down and go out and see what happens. So I loved that. And also I thought, well, how will I relate to this woman who has to give up this baby? I don't know about that. These are still in the days I'm holding on for dear life. God forbid I should have an imagination. Do you know what I'm saying? So I wandered to the library, really desperate. How will I play this? And there was a book about someone who had to give up their baby. Answer, right in front of me. Read it, thought, okay, get it. Thank you. So that sticks out. And who's the wonderful actor? It's just because I'm tired, names go right on my head. That one, he was a schizophrenic, the brother. He's such a great actor. Oh my God, sorry, it'll come. That stuck out, he broke my heart. That kind of performance where you say, you've got to be kidding me. Yeah, you know who I mean. He's so wonderful, and I'm so sorry I don't have his name. So, who?
Tony Goldwyn.
No, sweetheart. Oh, he's so good. You know him. No, I'll say it. It'll come. But he's, you know, I hope he's not, of course he's not watching. He's probably working. And the other one, murdering, she was a pediatrician oncologist for children. And so I went to that hospital, the great one, Sloan Kettering, to that wing. And here is every culture in the world, Hasidic, African, American, and their children are all on intravenous, dying of cancer. Do you know? And so they wanted us to come, because you feel like suddenly you're thinking, this is real life, and they face this every day. And not to put down our work, which is as noble as anything. It keeps the noble ideals alive, right? But somehow you feel like you're intruding by saying, can I watch? No, they were generous. We want you to see. We want you to get it right. And so I remember saying to the doctor, who had a sweet pen with a kind of furry monkey or something on it to cheer up the kids, imagine. And I said, well, how do you manage it? Because they lose a fair number of children. And he said, we celebrate the small victories. Got him home for Thanksgiving. Made it to her birthday with her family. Brilliant. And the other thing about that one who's the wonderful, who talks about grief, the 5 stages of grieving?
Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, yeah.
Oh my God. She had a book about, she dealt with children in trauma. And she said, so I started reading about her because someone said, you know, she's loosely based your character on Kubler-Ross. What a genius she is. She worked with children in the trauma center so that if there was an accident on the road, say, and there were so many kids in the one car, they'd have to take 2 ambulances, you know, to get them, and they'd go to separate hospitals because they couldn't take them all to the same. She said, without exception, the brothers and sisters always knew when one was going to go. Without exception, she said, they never, ever were wrong. Children always knew. And she also said, you know, you've got to let the one who is dying say it and let you know it's time. And you can't say, no, 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 you're going to be fine. No, no, honey, what we're going to do is this. Please don't take that from them. Just get it all out on the table. Let them say it so that all you have to do when it's over is grieve. And she said, one time there was a child who was skin and bones and refused to let go. And the parent, nobody could figure it out. So she went in to speak to the child. And she said something, she always went by their drawings also. It spoke volumes, apparently. And she said to the child, what's the matter? What is it? And the child said, well, my priest came and he asked me if I loved God most in the world. And I said yes, but I don't. I love my mom and dad the most. And I'm afraid to see him because I lied. So Kubler-Ross said, don't you think God is proud of you and how you have managed? Oh yes, I think he is. Don't you think you've tried your very best? Oh, I have. And do you think God is proud of you? And she took a beat. She said, yes, I do think so. And she was gone in an hour. So this was the experience. Mm-hmm. Sorry. Oh, God, long-winded. Do you know what I mean? So each experience was like, what? Changed, you know, brought such meaning.
And all the while you've been doing this amazing TV and film work, you've also continued to do stage work.
Yes.
Been on Broadway 3 times.
Yes.
Most recently in the Seagull, Chekhov.
Yes. Wonderful.
Why is it important to you to continue to do theater in addition to film work? What does it kind of satisfy in you?
Well, it always reminds me of, that takes to me courage. It takes courage to do anything, but I'm afraid of it. And I continue to be afraid of it. So I say, there you go, girl, get up right now. And I'm really hoping in my life to learn to let go and not be afraid. Because the times that I have, it's like so amazing, isn't it? Like we did a play at Signature. I don't know if anyone saw it, Night is a Room. And wasn't it kind of like a, oh, thank you. But the point is, I'd say maybe 5 times I let go, 5 out of a lot. It was like being on a ticket to heaven. I just thought to myself, honey, it's that easy. You did your homework. You're going to let the audience do their job, and you're going to do yours, and life is good. Can you remember that tomorrow when you go to do it? Try that, honey. I'm not kidding you. Most of the time I couldn't. It's more like, oh. But those 5 times, man, it's just about courage, you know, get up. Tell it now, right now, and let it go. And so I think that's pretty great.
Are there certain types of roles or types of projects aside from a sitcom with great hours that you still really want to do that, you know, are kind of dreams of yours that you've yet to achieve?
I think I've always been drawn to, I don't know why, but those who are disenfranchised and different and very much alone. And they survive. That draws me immediately. I don't know if that's the one anyone wants to necessarily watch, but I think I love those roles. I just love them because they teach you so much, you know, about humility. And, you know, my son is on the autistic spectrum, and he lives on a working farm for adults with disabilities, and there are all kinds of disabilities. And the beauty of those lives. and that they have found a way to have meaning. I don't know, Yeah.
We have some questions from the audience. We're running a little short on time here.
Yeah,
but
I'm sorry.
wanted to get
I
a few.
apologize.
No, please.
Truly.
Let's see. So in the first season of The Handmaid's Tale.
There's another one.
Oh, here's another one. All right. Okay, I won't read it first.
I see you.
We got backstory episodes on Nick, Luke, and other supporting characters. Has Aunt Lydia's backstory already something that's been discussed with you for this or next season? You talked a little bit about the teacher.
All I heard was that she was probably a teacher. I hope that, I don't know where this series will go. They don't tell us. I wonder what they think we'll do if we know. Prepare? Kidding. But no, I know nothing. But I think that would be a great, what was her past?
Yeah.
It'd be pretty great.
Question from Leah. What's your approach to playing a character whose goals you don't respect?
Well, you latch on to what you do respect. Let's say Lydia. I respect her devotion, her duty-bound nature, that she commits and never looks up from that commitment. I admire that. I don't share her message, but that's not my job. I don't judge her, which is my job, not to judge. And I found things about her that I quite admired. And I go back to those experiences from my youth where I thought they were the Antichrist, some of those people in my life who just kept saying, nope, it's here. It's here. And I just concentrate on that rather than worry that I don't share her views.
Question from Nadia. How long was the lapse between The Leftovers and Handmaid's Tale, and how did you prepare for Aunt Lydia differently?
Yeah. I kind of clicked into Lydia. I kind of got her because so much of it went right to my past. I had so many examples to draw from of who she might be. Plus, I played Aloysius in Dowd. You know Dowd? Great play. Oh, my God. Love her. She taught me a tremendous amount, that woman. I started a diet the day I started rehearsing that play, a really tough one. And I stuck it out, which is not my strength. And it just taught me what her life was. You keep it sparse, keep it centered on work, keep it centered on what you've been asked to do, step into it. If she had been given a choice, she would have been a gardener, alone all day, not take care of a school. So my point is, Lydia, Patty, it was an internal thing, and I just, leaned on the material, on the questions, and Justin, and I let it take shape and trusted that whatever came out was going to be what it was. If that doesn't really answer the question.
No, it does, absolutely.
Thank you.
Question
Very
from
nice
Lisa Rossman. Do you think your Massachusetts background distinguishes your work?
I don't know. Such a good question. I don't know.
Drop your accent, which always intrigues me about you.
What?
I didn't even have to look up the fact that you were from Boston. I was like, girlfriend is from the area. I know that.
That is so funny. I'm actually from Holyoke, sweetheart, but my whole family, yeah, I get it.
The accent, doll. You have it.
Isn't that so funny? I mean, I love New England, you know what I mean? Try not to, be like that, but. I mean, there's nothing like a Patriots fan, oh my God. Or how about the Red Sox? Like, you better hide if you're not a Red Sox fan and you're in the area. It's like,
It's true.
that's interesting.
Question from Gloria Jung, or Jung. Did you worry about being dropped by your agent in your very early days?
Oh, yes. Well, you know what? I'll tell you something. This is a truth. When I came to New York, I was 32 years old. I did not have an agent. We had a few connections from Chicago, but by no means any guarantees of any kind. There wasn't that kind of networking necessarily. Being 32, you're not exactly, I don't know. That's a pretty saturated, I suppose, but I never thought about that. I would walk in front of Broadway houses, and I'm not joking, and say, arms out, I will be working there. I just had to get it out, because I could not get through an audition. I was terrified. I could not have a conversation. I remember my agent, she's my manager now, I love her so much. She would say, on pain of death, you must be funny. Because I go in the room and I couldn't speak. I remember, who directed Sophie's Choice?
Alan Pakula?
Yes,
Yeah.
amazing. Imagine having an audition with him. I'm playing St. Joan in a play. I'm bald. I'd shaved, not shaved, no, but cut very close. I have an audition with him. Again, agent worked so hard to get me in the room. I go in and I am dead silent. And I don't mean that's not even a baby story to say. Even if it's boring and dull. I could not think of a thing to say. So there was dead silence, deadly, and the casting director's kind of looking at me. And she had got the deal in the waiting room because she saw that I was so nervous. She said, you're playing a Chicago cop. You do get that that's what you're playing. I said, yeah. And she said, I'm not joking, I could barely be heard. She said, and they're tough. And I said, yeah. Yeah, I know. And so then I go in the room, and then I'm ready. It was so bad, and I didn't say anything. So he said, he jumped in. And I had overheard him in the office. His mother was ill. He was talking, and then he came back into the room to her. And all I could think to say is, how was your mother? I mean, all stupid things you cannot say. Do you know what I'm saying? I couldn't get, so then he said, so there was that silence, and I knew it was deadly. And then he said, so you're playing Joan? And I said, yes. That's it. And then he said, oh, your hair. I said, yes. I swear to God. So those were my early auditions where the feedback, I could get it together for the audition, the scene. But if you're doing film and television, they want to know, like, what do you like? I mean, who are you naturally? What's the deal? And she kept saying, you gotta just, can you talk a little in the room? That took a long time. So I was worried, always. She's gonna drop me. Gonna have to. But she's lovely and kind.
Some very practical questions here.
Yeah.
Dan Hendricks, how do you keep up your sinister cadence in Handmaid's Tale? Do you do a lot of script highlighting?
No, you know what's great? The handmaids that come in, the extras, those wonderful extras that make such a difference in a film or anything we do, the ones that get no credit and have those ridiculous hours and hope to get the last train home, know what I'm saying? It was brilliant because they didn't quite know what they signed up for. And so I knew they maybe hadn't read the novel and they're not given the script. So what I loved was torturing them. I mean, loving them too, because I made that really clear, because Lydia does love them. But I remember being in that classroom and some of them would start to look away and I'd take my cattle prod and I would land it on the desk and they would jump straight out of their skin. And now we wouldn't be shooting that, but I was trying to get the ambiance correct, like say things to them that I'd say, you in the yellow! And the kid would be wearing a yellow sweater. She'd be like, come here. Are you looking away? Look at me. It was just keeping that, and the poor things would be like, this is a nightmare, and I'm only being paid $100 for the day. And this witch, but it was brilliant. And then, of course, they got the drill that I wasn't going to hurt them necessarily. But so it was more keeping the world alive. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, that's what it was. And some of them were, the bold ones. I'd say, don't try it. What's your name? Where do you come from? I asked you a question. And it got, anyway, it was a blast. It was a blast.
We only have time for one more question. It could be a hard one, I don't know.
God knows I'll talk for 20 minutes.
How have you managed to have such longevity in your career?
Keep your eye on the work. Because you decide, I'm an actor, I'm a writer, I'm a director, and there will be work for me. That's it. I will find it, I will keep it positive. I know there's a reason I'm here. These are the gifts I've been given, and I will just find a way. I believe that is true. I hope there's a job for everybody, and 10 of them per month for everybody in this room. I mean, I don't know. Maybe that sounds like Pollyanna, but that's really how I thought about it. People say, when you get older and the roles for women, stop talking. That's not the road I'm going down. I'm just not. I will find the story. We will write the story. We'll do it. We will find a way. Because that's what else could be true? Well, that's such a dumb thing to say because there are actors who are out of work and my heart goes out to every one of them because I know that feeling of, come on, give me a shot, will you? Let me do what I can do,
Well, I think you've shared a lot of great wisdom with us
Thank you
here.
for listening. Oh my
Really
God.
appreciate you taking the time.
So wonderful.
And Dowd.
Thank you, Bruce.
Thank
You're
you.
so great. I hope I
Thanks.
didn't help you much.
No.
Sorry. Thank you so much.